It's no secret that Valve's public reputation has come into question over the past few years. Will the new CS start the road to amends with the community? My name is Braden, and welcome to Valve Guides. Valve is kind of against the ropes with the community at the moment. No new games in 5 years unless you count the Source 2 VR demo. And at this point, even with all of the map remasters, CSGO is an aging game. It feels like Valve has made a lot of promises with Source 2 that just kind of faded away. Dota 2 being the main recipient of an upgrade. And while the addition of the Panorama UI to CSGO is nice, Valve can't really keep fans satisfied with just a few major updates every year. We need a new game. So here are 10 things that we'd need to see in a new CS game. Number 10, Source 2. Let's just get the obvious one out of the way. The Source 2 engine has been a long time ask from the community. Bringing Source 2 to the game would help the game's development and growth dramatically by helping out a lot of players with themes like optimization. The new engine would also help the game overall by improving the feel and performance of pretty much everything, theoretically. This might also bring back some old players of the earlier CS games or even CSGO that stopped playing a while back because the new engine itself. The game's gonna feel different, so if they didn't like how CSGO felt, they might like how Source 2 feels. Number 9, removal of the trade ban. With the recent removal of the instant player-to-player trading system, this has really affected the skin-based community. We understand why Valve did this. We might not necessarily agree that it helps people more than it damages the community, but without a doubt, removing this instant trade ban would bring back a lot of the player base. There are a lot of people that didn't even play CS and just traded skins or gambled skins like that. And a lot of the community has died off because of this. Number 8, consistent updates. CSGO has many downfalls, one of the main ones being a lack of updates. With something like a weekly update system that could be implemented, it would make the community much happier and it would make sure that Valve are doing work on the game. Just look at CSGO, we had so many updates every year. We had new operations, we had majors, we had all these different things on a consistent basis to keep the game exciting. Now everything has slowed to a seemingly pace of molasses. And for CSGO, this is a major downfall that will keep a lot of players from playing the game consistently. If there are rarely updates, if you don't like the game in its current state, then you're not gonna come back. Number 7, improved graphical quality. For many years, CSGO has had very impressive graphics, especially with the early implementations of the game. But even with the remaster, some of the maps overall feel like they're lacking a bit of quality and can be improved for another game. Now we know that graphics aren't everything. Some of the best players turn their graphics all the way down. But I think we can all agree that hardware has been catching up with CSGO, and that warrants an improvement of overall graphic fidelity. You can still play with lower graphic settings, but now that should be at a higher setting than what it currently is. The FPS and graphics debate will always be a hefty one because some people need that 500 FPS even though it doesn't really make a difference from 300 FPS. Not to knock the people that can't run the game at more than 60. I'm sorry. It's not fun. Number 6, custom matchmaking regions. Custom matchmaking regions are important because everyone gets the one player with 100 ping that they live on the other side of the world with, except if, well, it's not as big a problem in the US, but when this happens, they can lose the game for you, and it's not really anybody's fault but the matchmaking system. It would eliminate a lot of risk of losing a game because of one player's ping. Especially if you're in Europe. Ooh, man, the stereotype with Russian players on your team isn't really that far-fetched. This would be great for the community because it would cause a lot less frustration in a community that is already very frustrated. Number 5, 128 tick servers. We've said this many times, and yet we still do not have it. 128 tick servers have been a major ask for the community ever since it was removed, because the game started with 128 tick servers and then moved back to 64. Most alternative matchmaking services use 128 tick servers, which are a major improvement over 64. It's literally double. This means that some players prefer other matchmaking services over the actual game itself, which should really not be the case. Shouldn't the game itself be what people want to play? You shouldn't have to go to a third party to enjoy the game as it already should be. Not to say that ESEA and Faceit and these services are bad. I think they're great. I think they're what the community want. but Valve could very much integrate these into the vanilla game. And if Valve were to change the servers to be 128 tick, it would attract many more players to matchmaking instead of other services, which I'm not sure, but I don't think Valve makes any money off of ESEA or Faceit, but I could be wrong. I haven't actually looked into that. With the community wanting this for so long, this has to be in the next CS game. If it's not, there's going to be an uproar. Number 4, more matchmaking ranks. Many people play matchmaking, but a lot of people complain that there is nothing else to achieve after reaching global elite, so they move to a different platform like Faceit or ESEA. Again, if Valve were to integrate these systems into actual matchmaking, it would solve a lot of things. Lower ranks also, because even at the ranks like DMG and Legendary Eagle, you'll still find a lot of newbie players because in their placement matches, they got paired with cheaters or smurfs. I really think that integrating these third parties to CSGO itself would be a great move for Valve. I don't know what the logistics of that look like. I don't know if that's even plausible, but the idea itself is much better than what we currently have. Number 3, running and gunning. Running and gunning is a major issue in CSGO, and it's been a hot topic ever since its release. With pistols and SMGs, you can buy them for $300 to $700 for pistols, and then just for a bit more, you can buy an SMG. You can start running and wide swinging, and a rifle or op player can get taken out immediately with a major advantage over them. It should be much harder to take out a player with a more expensive weapon than you, not being able to randomly swing them. It really lowers the skill ceiling. People have been asking Valve to work on this for years, and Valve hasn't really done much about it. Although it's less viable than it used to be, it's still too viable. Number 2, community-based output. Community feedback in the next CS game is vital. For example, if you're going to push out a massive update or a gun nerf or anything else, maybe make a poll on Twitter. Maybe not Twitter, but make a poll. And then after they get feedback from that, they can add it to the beta, and then the community can test it and see if they were correct with their assessment. Then, if the community likes it, then you can add it to the game with an assurance that people will actually enjoy the changes that you have made. I bring it up over and over again, but it's the prime example. The R8 revolver, the Wild West, Valve just threw it in the game and it ruined everything for a long time. Getting feedback from professional players about certain events and games would matter as well. Community maps and game modes should be more easily accessible and more supported through Valve. At the end of the day, it just feels like they're really lazy. These aren't things that they have to do to keep the game alive, they're things to do to make the game thrive. Number 1 is balanced pistols. A lot of professional CSGO players think that the pistols need to be nerfed, and with the recent changes to the CZ75, a lot of people think they're still too unbalanced. The run and gun aspect of them is too overpowered for a cheap pistol, only costing you a few $100s, and most of the time pistols upset SMG and rifle buys. The cost of pistols is reasonable for some, like the Desert Eagle, which is $700. It's not a bad investment, isn't too cheap, but the P250 for $300 is ridiculous, and you can take out a fully equipped op or a rifler for a cheap price and then ruin a full gun round just by rushing with no nade usage. Thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, you can subscribe. And if you want to know when we put out new videos, you can turn on notifications and you will be the first to know and to see. Stay amazing, and I will see you in the next video.